So, there's stuff that we're going to talk about here today that you haven't thought about in the way that we'll talk about it here today, because this is a new moment in time. This co-creating has never been before. And so it's going to be new. It's going to be your creation. It's going to be our creation, and it's going to be helpful. So I want to start with something that you may not have thought about. So you know how opinionated you are? Well, it's logical that you would be, isn't it? Because you've lived life, and you've had ideas, and you've fostered those ideas through conversation and contemplation, and they have manifested in your life, which has proven to you the rightness of your ideas. Because that's what the law of attraction does. It always confirms through manifestation what you think. So there are two things that we would like to pop open into this atmosphere. And the first is the idea of how right you think you are, because life keeps proving what you think. And we'd like to encourage you. We're really begging you. No. We'd like to encourage you to not think so much about whether you're right or whether the other one is wrong, instead of the right and the wrong. Because you see, you came into an environment with so many others with a variety of beliefs and intentions, knowing that this diversity and this contrast would serve all of you. And not one of you thought that it was your job to come and straighten the rest of them out. Not one of you came with that intention, and yet so many humans now think that that's their job. They think that their path to their happiness is by getting everybody else to give up their path. You don't get to choose what's right. I do. And we say, how's that working out? Not so good, is it? So rather than being on this beating the drum of wanting so much to be right, and we can talk, if you want to, later on, if it comes up, why you do that and how to get over it. But instead of wanting to be right, we want you to consider asking, what is the path of least resistance? And that's when you get irritated or concerned, because path of least resistance doesn't feel like the diligence that you thought you were born with in order to wrestle the world to the ground and kill it. But if you understand that the path of least resistance is also the path of most allowance, and you understand what it is that you are allowing, you're allowing your connection to your source, you're allowing your reason for being here, you're allowing the energy of source to flow through you, you're allowing yourself to be replenished by the resources of source. It's a big thing that this path of most allowing allows. It allows you to find a way, an entertaining, satisfying, wonderful way to what you want, without going about it in the way that most humans go about it, which does not work. It just doesn't work. So the other day, Esther, not meaning to do it, which means oblivious to what she had going on vibrationally, noticed that Esther was feeling really strong irritation at someone that she was talking with, who was really defensive with her. And Esther didn't say, I don't know why you're so defensive all the time. Why are you so defensive? And then she thought, or did I? I didn't say it with my words. I'm very careful about that. But then she acknowledged, yep, she was offering thoughts that a sensitive person, every person on the planet, was picking up on and defending against. That's where your opinions really get in your way. Esther sat on the airplane next to a woman that she liked so much, and they talked the whole time. The woman did. Everybody around them probably was really glad when the flight was over, because they were talking. And the woman was talking about someone that she went to visit in San Antonio, And the more she talked, the more Esther understood why the person that she was talking about really doesn't like it when her parents come to visit. Because this really, truly lovely woman had so many strong opinions about the failure of her daughter's life. And Esther thought, give me your number, I'll have lunch with her. And then Esther thought, or maybe I should mind my own business. And then Esther thought, I do have a strong opinion. And then Esther thought, I want everybody to live happily ever after. In other words, what do you do when you're witnessing people do the very thing that you know is not going to work for them? What do you do? If you've got an opinion about them, hey, you're failing, but here's a process. Good luck with that, right? So what do you do? What do you do when the opinion that you've gathered up feels bad to you? Well, the first thing you do is understand that the reason it feels bad is because your inner being, who's right here, right now, right with you, focused on the same exact thing, is not having the same opinion. Your inner being expects success, is not witnessing lack of it. And we know, friends, you can listen to us long enough and read enough of our books and attend enough of these workshops and blah, 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 until it feels like this is complicated, because we overcomplicate it because we talk so much about so much. But really, it's not complicated. When you don't feel good, you're not doing yourself or whoever it is that you're involved with any favor. Jerry used to say, Esther heard him say it every day, and always as he was coming into an environment like this, I want to uplift anyone I interact with. I don't want anyone to ever be diminished as a result of their interacting with me. And do you know, through all those many, many, many years of Esther feeling that lovely intention that Jerry held, she didn't realize that he even meant, I'm not going to think thoughts that they might trip over either. Whoa. That's why I liked living so much with you, she is thinking. You weren't even thinking negative things about me, let alone saying them. He practiced his positive aspects about her, which made a really lovely environment to live in. So we don't want you to take responsibility for how anybody else feels, but we do want you to be responsible for how you feel. And understand that when you don't feel good, you're offering a vibration that your inner being isn't offering. And you certainly have the freedom and the free will to do that. Absolutely. That's how you figure out what you want and who you are. That's how you know what you don't want and launch the rocket of what you do want. And that's how your vibrational reality, we call that your vortex, becomes what it is. That's how you become. In other words, contrast is important. We're just wanting to emphasize with you how important it is, how delicious it is, how good feeling it is, how satisfying it is, how productive for you it is, how much success you will find when you give up needing to be right because you're right away in conflict with somebody, and so you've got this vibrational war going on between you that doesn't feel good. You're not letting yourself flow. And to go with the path of least resistance, which means they get to choose what they're doing. They get to choose what they're doing. But there's a less spiritually based, law-based reason that we say to you, they get to choose what they're doing. And it's that you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about what is vibrating out there in your atmosphere. All you can do is set your tone so that what comes back to you matches the tone that you've set. And you're doing that all day, every day, but are you doing it intentionally? Usually not. Most people are observing and spewing a vibration and then getting stuff back and then blogging about it, or whatever the accurate word for what you do now is. The goal is to be in your body and aligned. That's the best. But can you do it 100% of the time? You could, but you'd be so bored. Because the contrast stimulates you to the more. And so what you want to do is get into this accepting attitude that contrast is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a chosen thing. It's a wanted thing. It's a necessary thing. It's a helpful thing. That the contrast is what causes the expansion. We've been talking about this sort of sliding scale of alignment and not, alignment and not. And so there are factors involved, like how strong is the desire? That's a factor. If you really, really, really want something, it almost doesn't matter what you believe. If the desire is strong enough, it's going to take a little time, but it's going to happen. If your resistance is really, 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 really strong, and you don't have any desire, then that resistance is going to be the way that it comes. For most of you, it's that you want it, but you want it, but you want it, but you want it, but. So you don't understand the law of attraction's response to you because you go this way and this way and this way and this way. So you don't see strong, fast enough, obvious enough evidence. That's why we like it when you become deliberate, because when you decide that feeling good means alignment and you realize that you've got a vortex version and you want to tap into it. So you feel good on purpose. And so you make decisions on purpose, and then you calibrate to that feeling better by making lists of positive aspects and by playing the placemat process game and by looking for easy, good feeling, existing already matches, meaning you look for what's already there. You don't make it up in order to try to make it fit. And as you get better and better at those kinds of aligning things, then what begins to happen is you merely point at it and boom, there it is. And you think, whoa, that is how it is supposed to work. I wanted it from a place of clear wanting, not from a place of guilt or compensation or trying to get even with anybody. I just wanted it because I wanted it and because I've practiced that feeling of success, which is what satisfaction feels like. And I pointed, and so there it is. That's how it is. When you want something purely, that's why when Esther got that strong defensiveness back from someone she loves more than life itself, nearly, she thought, whoa, how did I do that? Because she now knows it's law of attraction, not law of somebody giving you what they've decided to give you. There's no law of assertion. It's only attraction. There's no assertion. There's only attraction. If you're getting it, you're summoning it. Once you connect those dots, once you set an intention and you practice the thought of it and you feel good about it and you find yourself feeling that way more often than feeling the opposite of it, and then boom, evidence, boom, evidence. That's what's so fantastic about being in these physical bodies, where your awarenesses can manifest into things that you can then observe. You live in this environment where you can interpret what's vibrationally in your atmosphere through seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, but it has to be a really strong signal before that translation can even begin to take place. And that's what you all signed on for. You said, I'll go, I'll sift and sort, I'll define and I'll decide, and then we come along to remind you, and I'll calibrate until I'm good, until I'm better at thinking about what I want than noticing its absence. And once you get the gist of this and you start doing it on purpose, then anything that happens, wanted or not, when Esther got that reaction back, she thought, man, I did that. I know I did that because the law says I did. There was no equivocation in her wondering. She knew she attracted it. How did I do that? Well, the next 25 conversations she had with that person said, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. Your opinions often attract from people, places, environments, things that you do not want. You are pure positive energy, and you are an extension of that. And when you don't understand that you're an extension and that you've come with reason and value, then your life naturally causes you to ask for all kinds of things. But if you don't find that balance, then you can't be happy. And if you're not happy, thy will's not being done.